A lot of people are pretending everything is normal right now. They're going to work, scrolling social media, watching the news, paying bills, and trying to continue life the way they always have. But deep down, I think many people can feel it. Something is shifting beneath the surface of everyday life, and it's happening faster than most people expected. Artificial intelligence is no longer some futuristic idea that only existed in science fiction movies or tech conferences. It's no longer something far away that might happen someday. AI is already here. Quietly but powerfully, it's entering businesses, workplaces, schools, customer service, entertainment, healthcare, social media, content creation, and almost every industry you can think of. And if I'm being completely honest, that reality scares a lot of people. Not because people are weak, not because people are lazy, but because for the first time in a long time, many people are genuinely unsure about where they fit into the future. People are asking themselves difficult questions. Will my job still matter? Will my skills still be valuable? Will companies eventually replace people with machines? Will younger generations adapt faster than me? Am I already falling behind? Those are real fears, and I think pretending they don't exist helps nobody. Especially for people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who already feel like technology has been moving faster and faster every single year. First, it was smartphones, then social media, then streaming, then online businesses, then automation. And now artificial intelligence is accelerating change at a speed that feels almost impossible to keep up with. Some people are excited about AI, some people are ignoring it completely, and some people are quietly panicking while pretending everything is fine. But here's what I've realized. Fear alone will not help us navigate this new world. Because whether people accept it or not, AI is not slowing down. This technology is advancing every day. Businesses are investing billions into it. Entire industries are restructuring around it. And history has shown us something important about moments like this. The people who survive major changes are usually not the strongest people. They're the people most willing to adapt. That has always been true throughout history. When the internet changed communication, the people who adapted early created opportunities. When social media transformed marketing, the people who learned those platforms early built massive audiences and businesses. And now AI is creating another one of those moments. The difference is, this time, the shift feels more personal. Because AI isn't just changing industries, it's beginning to challenge how people think about work, creativity, value, and even identity. And that uncertainty can feel overwhelming. But adaptation does not mean becoming a robot. It does not mean losing your humanity. It does not mean competing against machines. It means learning, simply willing to stay curious while others hesitate. They are experimenting while others are waiting. They are learning while others are hoping things somehow go back to the way they were before. But the truth is, the world rarely moves backwards. Technology changes society permanently. And once people understand that, the better question stops being, how do we stop AI, and becomes, how do we evolve with it in a healthy way? That's the real conversation we should be having, because staying relevant in this new era is not about perfection. It's not about mastering every new tool overnight. It's not about suddenly becoming some kind of tech genius. It's about remaining adaptable. That's it. The future is going to reward people who stay teachable, flexible, and willing to learn. And honestly, adaptability may become one of the most valuable skills of the modern world. Not just intelligence, not just talent. Adaptability, the ability to adjust when the world changes. I think one of the biggest mistakes people are making right now is assuming they still have endless time to eventually learn these technologies. But the world is shifting in real time. Companies are automating tasks every month. AI-generated content is exploding online. Businesses are becoming more efficient with smaller teams. Entire workflows are changing. And while that sounds intimidating, there's another side to this story that people don't talk about enough. AI is also creating opportunities, massive opportunities. For years, starting a business online required huge amounts of money, time, and technical skill. People needed expensive cameras, editing software, marketing teams, graphic designers, writers, researchers, and production crews just to compete. Now, one person with AI tools and consistency can accomplish things that once required entire companies. That changes everything. And no, that doesn't mean AI magically guarantees success. The AI itself doesn't make people successful. Consistency does. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. People often think success comes from finding some secret strategy or perfect tool. But in reality, most success comes from showing up consistently long enough to improve. The problem is that consistency used to be incredibly difficult because the workload overwhelmed people. AI reduces friction. That's its real power. It helps people write faster, edit faster, research faster, brainstorm faster, organize faster, and automate repetitive tasks that normally drain energy and time. And when friction decreases, consistency becomes easier. That matters more than most people realize, because there are millions of intelligent, creative people who never succeeded online simply because the process exhausted them before momentum could build. AI changes that equation, and I think that's why this moment matters so much. For the first time, ordinary people have access to tools that dramatically reduce barriers to entry. People who once felt intimidated by technology can now create videos, build websites, design graphics, start brands, automate businesses, and share ideas in ways that were nearly impossible just a few years ago. Even this version of me you're watching right now reflects that shift. This AI avatar is not just technology to me. It represents possibility, the ability for everyday people to create, communicate, and participate in the future in entirely new ways. And honestly, we're still early. That's what many people don't fully understand yet. Right now, AI still feels new and experimental to much of the world. But eventually, it's going to become integrated into normal everyday life the same way smartphones and the internet did. At first, many people resisted smartphones. Then, suddenly, everyone had one. At first, people doubted social media. Then, entire businesses were built around it. At first, streaming seemed unnecessary. Now, cable television is disappearing. Every major technological shift follows the same pattern: resistance, curiosity, adoption, normalization. AI is following that exact same path right now, and the people who become familiar with these tools early are likely going to have a major advantage later. That doesn't mean people need to obsess over technology or spend every hour online, but it does mean learning enough to remain relevant in a changing world. Because one of the deepest fears many people carry right now is the fear of becoming obsolete, especially people who already feel disconnected from modern technology. But I want to say something important directly to those people. You are not too old, you are not too late, and you are not incapable of learning this. So many adults underestimate themselves when it comes to technology. They assume younger generations automatically understand everything better. But experience still matters, wisdom still matters, communication still matters, human understanding still matters. AI can generate information, but it cannot replace human life experience. That matters more than people realize. Someone who spent decades learning business, relationships, leadership, communication, parenting, problem-solving, or emotional intelligence still possesses enormous value. AI simply helps people distribute and organize their knowledge more efficiently. And I believe many people are going to discover entirely new opportunities during this era because of that combination. Human experience plus AI tools is an incredibly powerful combination. That's why I believe ordinary people still have a place in the future. In fact, I think many ordinary people may thrive more than they expect if they stay open to learning. But I also think we need to acknowledge something important. This transition is emotional. A lot of people feel uncertain right now. Some people are worried about jobs. Some people are worried about the economy. Some people are worried about whether their children will inherit a stable future. Some people are simply exhausted from trying to keep up with constant change. And those emotions deserve empathy, not judgment, because major transitions in history have always created anxiety. But they also created opportunity for people willing to adapt. That doesn't mean adaptation feels comfortable. Usually it feels awkward at first, confusing, slow, frustrating. Every skill feels difficult in the beginning. Nobody starts perfectly. And I think social media sometimes creates unrealistic expectations that successful people figured everything out instantly. But behind almost every successful creator, entrepreneur, or business is years of learning, mistakes, confusion, and experimentation. Growth almost always looks messy before it looks impressive. That's normal. And honestly, I want this channel to be honest about that process. I don't want this space to feel fake, overly polished, or disconnected from reality. I want it to feel practical, grounded, and encouraging. Because I know there are millions of people watching the world change right now and wondering whether they still have time to reinvent themselves. And I genuinely believe the answer is yes. I think some people are going to build entirely new lives during this AI era. Some will launch businesses, some will create personal brands, some will discover creative skills they never thought they had. Some will build online income streams. Some will finally gain confidence with technology after years of feeling intimidated by it. But none of that happens by waiting forever. At some point, people have to decide they are willing to begin before they feel fully ready. That's important, because waiting for certainty often becomes another form of procrastination. The future rewards action more than perfection, and most people are far more capable than they think they are. I've noticed something interesting about people who succeed consistently online. It's usually not because they are the most naturally gifted people. It's because they stayed consistent long enough to improve. Consistency compounds. Small efforts repeated over time create massive results. And AI helps people maintain consistency more easily than before. That's why I believe disciplined, ordinary people may outperform highly talented, inconsistent people during this next era. Think about that for a moment. One consistent person using AI tools strategically may now compete with companies and creators who once had overwhelming advantages. That changes the game completely. It changes who gets opportunities. It changes who gets opportunities, who builds audiences, who creates income, who gains visibility, who stays relevant. And while some people view AI as a threat, others are viewing it as leverage. Personally, I think AI becomes whatever people choose to make of it. Technology itself is neutral. What matters is how humanity decides to use it. And on this channel, I want to focus on using AI to create opportunity, creativity, freedom, and growth, not fear, because there's already enough fear in the world. People need clarity right now. They need practical guidance. They need encouragement. They need spaces where technology feels understandable instead of overwhelming. That's what I want this channel to become, a place where people can learn about the future without feeling left behind by it. Because once people understand something, they fear it less. And honestly, many AI tools are much easier to use than people assume. You do not need to become a programmer. You do not need to understand advanced coding. You do not need to become a technology expert overnight. You simply need curiosity and consistency. Curiosity opens the door, consistency creates the results. And I truly believe the people who embrace that mindset are going to surprise themselves over the next few years. One day, we're going to look back at this era as the beginning of a massive transformation in how people work, communicate, create, and build businesses. And right now, we're living through the early stages of that transformation. That's exciting, but it's also why this moment matters so much. The habits people build now may shape their opportunities later. The creators learning now may dominate later. The businesses adapting now may thrive later. The people staying curious now may lead later. And none of this requires perfection. You simply need the willingness to keep learning while the world evolves around you. Because the future belongs to adaptable people, people who remain teachable, people who stay creative, people who continue moving forward even when the world feels uncertain. And at the end of the day, AI may replace certain tasks, but it cannot replace human resilience, human wisdom, human emotion, human perspective, or human connection. Those things still matter, and they always will. So maybe the question isn't, is AI taking over? Maybe the better question is, how do we evolve with it without losing ourselves in the process? That's the journey I want us to explore together on this channel. And if you're trying to stay relevant, informed, adaptable, and prepared for this new AI era, subscribe, because we're going to learn this together, one step at a time. Thank you for watching.